right, welcome back. Some of you had questions around creating or calculating other things based off of a pivot table. Noticing, some of you did at least, maybe most of you, that you can't actually do anything or create additional information within the pivot table itself. The pivot table is all based on these data, right, that we have here. And so as we look at this, we have to do things alongside of the other data. So what we'll do is, let me show you how you can do some other things with this. Some of you may have figured this out, but I think some have not. So just want to be able to make sure that we're all understanding how that might be done. So we'll go ahead and insert a pivot table here over on another sheet. We'll do something like age. I'll actually stick age in rows instead of columns. And maybe we can do income here. But we want to make sure we get a count down here. So we'll do something like that. And so we've got this table now. So making that a little smaller so we can do some calculations with it. And so maybe we want to know the percentage of people within each of these within each of these columns. So I'm going to do this and copy that over here into these other columns. I guess I'll pull I got to make sure I get that blank cell as well. And so now we're going to go ahead, and you'll notice if I do like our normal, what I would tell you to do is click over here. It's throwing in some weird stuff up here. It's pulling in this up here. And so how you do things with this, I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to actually have to type in the cell. All right, so this is B5, right? So equals, if I want to calculate a percentage, I'm going to take that B5 and I'm going to divide that by I5. Right, so I want to know, so it's showing up those correct things. That's obviously 0. I can then pull this over. Right, that won't work, right? And we know why, because this needs to stay as I5 in that particular row. All right, so now if I do that across, that'll create those. I can change those to percentages. I'll make sure I got a decimal point in there, right? So that's doing that now, right? So our challenge is now if I drag this down, it's going to leave it in I5, and I don't want that to stay in I5 for all of these rows. I want to calculate this as a percentage of each row. So I want to do this for 17-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, right, etc. So what I have to do then is calculate this. I want it to stay in the row. So I want to keep it in I, but I don't want to keep it in 5 all of the time. All right, so I can do it that way. So I can drag that back across. That's not going to change anything. And now as I drag this down through those totals, it'll change those percentages. Of course, these are going to stay the same. Right, you notice that this is staying in I, right, over here, and as it's doing its calculations, right, all of those are staying I, but as we go down, they're changing rows, and that's what I needed that to do. Right, go back and watch that again if you need that explanation, but right, it really is, it needs to stay in this column, but as I go down rows, I want that to change, right? So that's the purpose. And so now I've got all these percentages. I can take a look at these. If things change over here, right, these will automatically update. So that's how you have to do that, right? Because if I come over here and start typing in something, right, it's going to give me an error message that I can't edit the individual data in those cells because those data come from here, right? That's how that works, right? So that's how that would be done. If you're doing something like this, I know this is more data and maybe on a smaller screen than what you're looking at, but that's how that would work. in doing this for calculating percentages and things like that off of a pivot table. If you wanted to do those kind of things based on these raw data over here, and then come with the percentages over here, just to give you a little bit of a different look as you look at different things. So again, that's how that works. Thanks. I'll be back with another video.